MyStandard is the first employment and talent acquisition service based on Web3 technology and designed to give users ownership and control over their data. And with me is Adam Zek, the CEO, and Josh Skloot, the Chief Operating Officer. Great to have you here. So just start, I gave a brief explanation. I mean, could you just kind of explain what the company's all about? What's your mission?
Yeah, we realize that people have completely gotten used to giving up their data to somebody else. So think about a LinkedIn profile. You give your profile to LinkedIn, they make all the money on you. They make $15 billion a year on your data. They get a say of who gets to see your data and when and why. And sometimes you may get taken out of the opportunity to be a fit for without even knowing it. So we take out the middleman, which would be LinkedIn in the situation, and make it so that companies and people can connect directly. And that gives users the opportunity to say, no, I don't want to share my information. Or if I do want to share my information, all that revenue that would normally go to LinkedIn goes to our users. Yeah,
I mean, this is a concept that's been around. I'm surprised it hasn't taken off more, but I love that. You can control your data and monetize it.
And to that point further, we think that the whole talent acquisition ecosystem is relatively broken. Your resume is not your friend. In other words, your resume can only hurt you. What you should be judged on are your skills and your experience only. Your name, your picture, where you went to school, none of those things ultimately matter for the job that you're applying for or that you're looking for. What you should be based on is your skills and experience. And what we do is, since we simplify the process, all of that is abstracted and taken out so that you're only judged on your abilities, which will lead to a more diverse workforce, will lead to a broader set of skills that are an opportunity for a company to use. And you really have control over that data and you get to monetize it.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your backgrounds for a bit, because you both came from recruitment, I guess. Is that the correct term?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And even though we're building like a Web3 solution, like we are both trying to solve problems, and Web3 was the solution to solve the problems, as opposed to hunting for a problem to solve with our solution. Yeah. And so I was in talent acquisition helping companies. Actually, I was helping a company trying to solve this issue where they were having bias in the recruiting process. And there was not a tech-forward solution to stop hiring managers or recruiters from seeing too much information about somebody and then making judgments on them or leaving them out of the recruiting process, even if they were a good fit. And so we just made it. And in order to make that solution a reality, it had to be a Web3 solution where people truly own their data, and they didn't have to trust somebody else with it. And they didn't have to expose too much about themselves.
So I guess the blockchain technology.
Yeah, that's where it comes in. Yeah, so that's really where the idea of the blockchain came in, is we needed a way so that users don't have to say, hey, are Josh and Adam good actors with my data? Are they going to expose my data to somebody? We have no access to it. We have no backdoor to it. There's one unique key to every profile, and our users are the only owner of that key. And it really is a unique opportunity for people to feel empowered.
My background is I had my own agency for a long time. I've been on the inside as being head of talent acquisition. I've placed and recruited people at all different levels. I've built entire talent acquisition functions from the ground up. And when I connected with Adam, the thing that really stood out for me was I've never found a solution that really accurately covered what I needed. LinkedIn, of course, is short in so many ways that we could get into. All the other job boards and websites are basically limited. Applicant tracking systems also limited. I wanted to build something that I would use as a recruiter, that I could share with my other recruiter friends, that they're like, wow, this is really helping me. This is really making my life easier.
So explain what the benefits are then. Like, how is this an improvement on what's currently out there?
Basically, what we're doing is, instead of like, if you go on LinkedIn and you apply for a job right now, you're competing with 5,000 other people. Your resume ends up wherever it ends up. People are just mining and collecting in your data. With our structure, since you're not applying for anything, if you're a company and you're looking to hire, you're trying to limit the amount of candidates that you actually get to look at. And you want to make sure all of those candidates are qualified. So if I could take that number from 5,000 to 50, and you knew that all those 50 were vetted and qualified candidates, your job would be so much easier. As a recruiter, it's our job to build relationships, not to spend our time sifting through and what I call is the Tinderization of job search. LinkedIn is just swipe left, no, no, no. You spend 5 seconds on a person's resume, you don't like their picture, you don't like their name, you don't like where they went to school, and you're disregarding them out of hand. With our structure, you don't do that. It's completely blind and unbiased until you've paid for it. So you also have some stake, because you own that data now. And when you buy something, you treat it differently than when you're giving it for free. LinkedIn's a subscription model, we're not. Also on the candidate side, think about how differently you feel about yourself. If someone feeds you $10, $20, $50 for access to your data, you're gonna be like, wow, these people really care about me. And you're not gonna spend that money unless that job is real. There's a thing on LinkedIn called ghost jobs, where people are not really Yeah, they're not really looking. They're just trying to collect data. With this, if you're actually paying for something directly, you're getting the most you can out of it because you've actually paid for it, and you're going to treat that transaction very differently.
And we added one little hook that kind of came up actually later in our solutioning, which is that the opportunity to get paid for your data expires. So that when you look at that opportunity, it says you have 1 hour to respond. So like normally, if I'm happy in my job, maybe I'll just ignore that LinkedIn request or that recruiter email. But in this situation, it's like, well, I get paid $23 if I just say yes in the next hour. And also, it's kind of competing against all the other people who have an opportunity to say yes. You can also see, like, my place in line is going to get taken if I don't move quick. And so people feel that FOMO, that fear. Yeah. And I think, like, we actually did a lot of product testing internally. And when we would send each other data requests in the middle of the night. So you wake up in the morning and you missed one. And you're like, oh, man, Johnson & Johnson contacted me at 2 in the morning.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what if I were taking a nap or something?
And then with that feeling, though, of like missing out, you feel that in your gut, right?
Yeah.
And so next time you get a data request from MyStandard, like, you're on it quick. And we want people to feel that, like, I need to be on these things fast. So from a product design, we are not trying to compete in the attention economy. We want to win notifications.
So walk me through the process. Say that I'm looking for a job. How do I even get started?
Great. So you would download the app off the iOS or Android App Store. It takes 3 to 5 minutes to register. That's it. You don't have to be a technical expert. There's nothing about this that's scary or complex. We made it simple by design, complex on the inside, really easy for you to use.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Honestly, it shouldn't be more than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you wait. See, that's the beautiful thing, like Adam's saying. It's not a social media site. There's not ads coming at you. You're not forced to stare at your screen. You'll get a notification when you match up for an opportunity, you'll get a notification. When you see that notification, to Adam's point, you then have the opportunity to say yes or no. If you say no, no one knows who you are. You're completely anonymous. So it's not like IBM says, oh, this person rejected us. They don't know unless you say yes. So once you say yes, your data is then instantly sent over to IBM. You then get paid. You get to monetize that data. So you now have tokens in your wallet. And likelihood is, as a recruiter, I would have done this. If I get on my screen and I see that someone just said yes, guess what I'm going to do? I got their contact information. I'm going to cross-reference it with their LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call them. I know they're interested. They just said yes, right? Unlike LinkedIn emails where you don't even know where they go. Do they end up in your spam? Sometimes you respond, sometimes you don't. Here, you've got instantaneous recognition and instantaneous opportunity to get connected with a good candidate that you know is qualified for the role.
And what about a company? Say I'm an employer. How do I get involved?
Just have to contact us.
Okay.
We'll get them set up. Actually, we'll sponsor their first jobs or their first candidate requests. So if they reach out and say, MyStandard is new, this sounds exciting, I just want to have exposure to the market, we can set you up for no cost initially. And then our searches don't expire. So if you have them on the site, maybe there's not a candidate today who's a match for your job, but there might be in a week or a month or a year or 2 years. So you just get set up today, and then you'll always have the opportunity to search the database, query it, and see if it's somebody's a fit.
Yeah. And to that sorry to interrupt you, to the non-expiration point, with LinkedIn, you're basically on a subscription model and they renew you every single year. LinkedIn doesn't care how many hires you make. You can make 1 hire, you can make 1,000 hires. What do they care about? The subscription, renewal. Since our tokens never expire and the searches never expire, you could have a hiring freeze for 6 months. Those tokens and those searches will still be available to you, that you can reach out anytime at any point. It's an a la carte situation. You only pay for stuff that actually comes to fruition, which is completely different than anything in the market today.
Yeah. Now, I noticed on your website you had a lot of well-known backers in the blockchain space. So talk about that. Who are your backers? Who are your partners?
Yeah, it was pretty easy to kind of gain interest in the blockchain space, to be honest. So Winklevoss Capital, Ava Labs, 3.0 kind of joined us pretty early in our fundraise. What we are doing today is like a use case for Web3. If you Google things about Web3, and obviously Bitcoin's at 92,000, so everyone's thinking about it. You're going to see a lot of meme coins. You're going to see a lot of things that don't make sense. Like, this is a very easy to understand Web3 premise. It puts Web3 in the hands of people who don't even know it. And so we got a lot of backing really early of people being like, well, this actually could. Everyone's always saying, what's the killer consumer app for Web3? How are we going to get from 500 million global users to 1 billion? It's not going to be through meme coins. It's going to be through something that actually makes people's lives better.
A good practical application.
Utility.
Yeah.
And so I stand firmly on the ground of, I don't think there's a token or a crypto company that has a higher utility than a MyStandard token. I've been in full-time crypto for 7 years, and I could firmly say that that's the case. And once people kind of realize that, I think it's going to change the narrative of what Web3 can be. And so that's why people are pretty excited to join us pretty early in our backing.
So what's the future for MyStandard?
So the first use case is talent acquisition, as we talked about robustly. I think the next phases are us to expand outside of the US using the talent acquisition premise. We're going to be working with Chainlink, one of the biggest crypto companies out there, on a lot of infrastructure for our concepts. The next is going to be like the idea of credentialing. So someone could get their university credentials, they're minted to their MyStandard profile from the university. That'll be brought through a Chainlink infrastructure that we're bringing through. There's also going to be the ability for people to then expand the types of data they include on their profile to get outside of just talent acquisition. I had some medical issues, some cancers that I got through, and in doing so, like medical records is something that's deeply close to me, and how hard it is to transfer records because of HIPAA. So MyStandard could be like the place you store your medical records.
And that would all be on the blockchain, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
On the blockchain, and then if somebody wants to do research on something you had with your profile, they'll ask you to share your medical records as opposed to going to the hospital system. So there's all sorts of monetization aspects outside of talent acquisition. So that's why it's called MyStandard. It's the standard for all data. It's not just talent acquisition. And we're going to expand to hobbies, interests. What was the company that came to us earlier? Nielsen for doing consumer research on the platform. So there's all these applications outside of talent. We're just going to land and expand this app into different industries and kind of be a black hole for people's data.
And with that in mind, the same premise is if you accept a data request and you get to monetize that, you're never going to delete this app. If an app pays you for access to something you've been giving away for free for 20 plus years, you're going to keep that app and you're always going to be available. And advertisers, like I said, Nielsen, any company that's trying to do any sort of research, instead of using the Facebook model of, I went to Miami, so I booked a hotel. The next 25 ads on my Facebook feed are what? This hotel, that airplane, right? That's nonsense. With our structure, if you're interested and you're a captive viewer, companies are always going to find you, and they're going to be able to pay the people who actually own the data instead of some third party. You're never going to delete that app, and you're always going to have this on your phone. You're always going to be able to monetize who you are and your persona.
For our users who are joining today in the US, we'll be doing some network testing rewards that'll be worth a good amount of money in the next 3 or 4 months. And then there's going to be another wave 3 months later. So we encourage users in the US to get involved on MyStandard today. We need a nice, thorough, deep network of high quality, high fidelity data to properly test out all the connections we're making.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
And best of luck. Thank
Thanks
you.
very much. Appreciate it.